that special treatment, and I don't want to call it special treatment, but that they could only really push somebody who wanted to be pushed. You know, you can't, like, there's that famous quote from The Matrix, one of the greatest films of all time, where Morpheus says to Neo, "I could only show you the door. I can't open it for you. You have to be the one that opens it." Something like that. And that's very much the case, I think, for kind of like anything in life where you want to get better. I mean, you have to be willing to ask the questions if you really want the answers. And when you get the answers, you can't just be like, "Oh, cool." You have to be hungry to get more answers. Come up with more questions to get better. And I think they kind of knew that more or less from. I don't want to say they knew that from the start, but I think by kind of hounding them constantly about getting into the specifics of subdivision or getting into more detail about key signatures and enharmonic equivalents, and that was the rookie stuff back then. But showing them that I was interested and I wanted more and I was hungry for it. They kind of showed to them, I think, at least, they're like, okay, this kid's kind of serious about this. And then I did other things music related in my school, like playing in the orchestra pit for our school plays, and I'd play guitar for our shows, and we had like really cool shows where we kind of had like musicals that had like rock numbers. So we played like Footloose one year, and then Little Shop of Horrors the next. And I think it was Footloose that had its soundtrack I think it was like partially composed by Sammy Hagar. So there was a wealth of rock stuff to get into there. And man, I mean, showing them that I was serious enough about it to do that extracurricularly, not being graded on that or anything, kind of showed them that I'm serious and I want to learn. And it got to the point where I needed to learn more. I needed to learn. To this day, I always try to expose myself to something or learn something new about whether it's music production or my instrument or singing. I could always use help in terms of getting better in any aspect of my musicianship.
Well, something as far as just the production aspect goes, you never really stop learning necessarily. Like every album that I do, I tweak things a little bit more, and sometimes every couple of albums I come across a revelation that I didn't know that vastly improves the overall quality that I'm going for. And then other times I'll try something that I read online that seems like, oh, this is a great idea, and then it ends up being the worst possible idea I could possibly do.
Trial and error, yeah, of course.
But you don't know until you try it. I mean, if you didn't know it and you didn't try it out, then you could have missed out on something that could have been really, really amazing and could have been the difference in something mediocre or something that's a real masterpiece. But, you got to try it first.
That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Yeah, because and especially nowadays with regards to production, the rate that technology is evolving. Computers are getting faster. Plugins are coming out that are more powerful, that do the job twice as good or twice as well. Excuse me. Sorry to my English teachers. There's always going to be something to learn, and the marriage of technology and music alone is sort of kind of like letting you know that this isn't the end. It's kind of just the beginning of where things are headed towards in terms of new techniques, new ways of mixing, mastering, even recording. I mean, it's a very interesting time to be involved in music, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I bring this up probably every show just because it's a fascinating thing. It's enabled me to really be out, not necessarily at the forefront, but put my music out in competition with everything else that's out there. Mm-hmm. Digital has really opened up doors. Mm-hmm. It's allowed the creation of music that we might not have been able to create before, and the distribution of music on an independent level that wasn't possible before. But at the same time, it's almost kind of made things a little bit like it's cheapened things a little bit, because anybody can just pick up Pro Tools or something and just knock out something that's okay. Right. And if it's catchy enough, all of a sudden it's the next big dance hit. Whereas some of us will sit and will slave over a song, and it won't get any exposure at all, even though we think it's the best song we've ever done. So it's got its pros and cons, but
absolutely,
for me, I think it's more pro than con.
Absolutely, I agree. I definitely do agree that there's definitely more pro than con, and you're very right to touch upon the double-edged sword of, that is digital music, or the digital age that we live in. It's definitely sort of even the playing field in terms of what we thought we needed the record industry for versus what we kind of need them for now, which is basically just, I mean, they're just, well, I don't know. I can't say. I've never really dealt with a record industry on a massive scale, so I can't really say what they do or what they don't, but I do think that it is, it's very, again, an interesting time to be a musician, and I do think that with regards to quote-unquote success, whatever that may be for you, I mean, it's different for different artists, and that's again, another conversation in and of itself, but it is definitely an interesting time because I think now, so more than ever, in terms of being a musician, I think it's more of a marathon than it ever has been before. Like, you can't make a song or record a song and go like, this is going to be a hit next week, and because like that's not how it works. No. Things depending on what you're looking for out of a career in music, quote unquote, it's very much so a marathon that I think people need to see. Again, kind of like my music teachers, they need to see that you're serious about this, and that's when you kind of establish a relationship with people and go like, yeah, I'm kind of serious about this, and I have put in the time and I have put in the work. And when they see how much somebody's passion, when they see somebody's passion for something, they can't help but gravitate towards it. Or at least that's how I am. I mean, like, when I see somebody who's doing something they love and they're obsessed with it and they constantly want to get better at it, that makes me respect them. And you keep tabs on people like that. You keep tabs on athletes who, basketball players who have consistently improved their game and go out on the court and do better each season, because they're showing you like, hey, this is real to me. And the cream of the crop in any field will always rise to the top. I really honestly do believe that. And that's why it's in any kind of endeavor, particularly with music nowadays, it is more of a marathon than a sprint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely requires work and a lot of continuous endurance.
Yeah, my nephew, he is a really great musician and a rap artist if he actually apply himself. And he's always going on this tantrums on his Facebook about it. It's like, well, if you're going to do something, do it. Well, I need the money. No, you need to work at it. You need to get on a microphone and go on YouTube and make yourself a little video and keep at it. So he keeps thinking this might all I need, but no, you don't. You should come listen to the show and learn something,
Right. See, personally, I don't even know if I would even tell him that, I mean, because like there's this quote from Jerry Seinfeld where he goes, people always ask me, comedians who are up and coming, they always come up to me and ask me like, hey Jerry, do you think I should keep doing comedy? Should I be giving it a shot? Should I be pursuing it? Jerry goes, every time somebody asks me that, I always tell them no, because if that's all, if all that it takes for you to stop is hearing me say no, if your desire or the necessity of you to continue on with comedy is depending on me saying you should do it, then you shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
That you have to have that fire in you to want to do it yourself. And I guess to answer or to speak on your nephew, he might be the next Eminem, but I mean, if he doesn't feel that, pulsing sort of, I have to go there, like that moth to a flame kind of feeling, like I have to keep doing this to create, then I mean, you shouldn't push him towards it. I mean, he'd probably feel really bummed out about it, but
right. Right. I mean, I had the opportunity. I knew some bookie over here in Seattle. He's not doing it anymore. He retired. Like, I can get you on some open mic up here on Studio 7 if you just come up here. He goes, okay, no problem. He never showed up. Like, okay, you know what? You're not serious enough. I'm not going to help. So, and he had one not too long ago, and about a month or two ago. Just like, if you want to do this, come listen to the show and learn something. That's all I said.
Right.
And his friends who seemed like he wanted to be his buddy, let's do this, come on, let's do it. And he kept dragging his feet, like, your friend's going to be on the road on doing things, you're going to be sitting there. So it's like, you're on your own.
Well,
Yeah, he's got to figure it out.
The big thing about music, too, especially with the digital thing, is that you have to, if you're going to be a musician, you can't be the reclusive, I'm going to spend 2 years making an album, put it out, and then not do anything else for another year or two.
Oh yeah,
kind of thing.
I learned that the hard way.
You have to be putting out stuff all the time. And getting back to Prince, kind of, he was ahead of his time in the idea that you have to be at the forefront. You have to be in people's eyes, whether you're really creating something that's like the best of the best all the time. You have to be out there creating something that you're proud of constantly. I mean, you have to be careful that you don't just put out the same song over and over and over with every album. But
that's true. Yeah, and I mean, like, again, speaking of how forward-thinking he was, this was a guy who the primary reason why he was in arguments with Warner wasn't because they were controlling his music or anything like that. The main reason was because they wouldn't allow him to release as much music as he wanted to, which, again, you could kind of understand from their point of view. But Prince, again, was such a madman that he would constantly record, like we said, one album in a week.
39 albums. 39 albums over the course of his career, at least, that were just his own material.
That he released,
add to that everything, add to that what he didn't release, add to that what he did for other people, add to that numerous other just little side things.
Right, goodness. Yeah. And this guy wanted to release them, all on his schedule, and Warner was like, well, we can't have that, it's a business thing or another. And that was the initial reason why he sort of started the little tiff that he had with them. And again, once again, speaking to his forward-thinking mind, I guess, he was one of the first artists, if not the first artist. I don't know, we should look into that. But he was one of the first artists to utilize the internet as a distribution platform for his music. He had I think it was called the NPG Playground, I think it was what it was called, back in like 99 or 98 or something like that, where he would release albums to fans. And this is, again, the internet back in 1998, 1999, AOL online, people would go online and they'd go to his website, and he would sell these albums that were only available through his website for like $90 a pop. Can you believe that? Mm-hmm. And when I heard about that, I'm like, that's really genius and forward thinking for his time. And he made a killing off of that. He even was one to admit, like, he probably only sold, if he had an album like these albums, I don't know if it was $90 a pop, but it was definitely high. It was higher than $10 or whatever. But let's say he had each of these albums, which was, again, chock loaded with Prince stuff. Let's say, for example, for the sake of conversation, that he sold each for $100. All he'd need to do would be to sell 10 of them to make 1,000, and so on and so forth. So I mean, like, because he was getting 100% of the profits and all that stuff. So I mean, he didn't need to sell that platinum album or that multi Grammy winning award, whatever, because he was Prince already. So I mean, in terms of like the business sense, this guy was a genius as well. I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with.
No, he wasn't.
One of my favorite musicians of all time, of course, is 9 Inch Nails. And as most people who know more about 9 Inch Nails than the fact that they make music, they know that 9 Inch Nails really is only one person.
Right.
It's Trent Reznor who writes, produces pretty much everything, and he has people come in and record things. It's very similar to Prince as far as how things go.
Yeah, that's true.
He was of a really similar mindset. He wants to put things out on his schedule, on his terms, and in the way that he wants it done. And it's just either you're with it or you're not. And he went through a long period where he had a fight with his own record label at the time with TVT way back in the day, and he eventually broke free from that, went to Interscope, was good on Interscope for a while, then things went bad with Interscope because, again, he felt too limited, and now he's more or less independent. He's working with Columbia and has almost 100% like creative control over everything.
That's good.
And, it fits. He can put things out whenever he wants. He's doing film projects. He's just doing so much stuff. But like Prince, it's his own terms.
That's right. Yeah, and you want to hear a really interesting similarity between Trent Reznor and Prince that I recently learned.
Really quickly.
Go ahead.
Really quickly. Okay, they both for their first album, they both worked as janitors in the studios that they were working where they recorded that. That's how
kidding.
That's how they were able to pay off their first album.
No,
both were janitors at the studios. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of similarities between
that's
the two of them.
crazy.
And they were really good with drum machines.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's take a small break real quick. We're going to play 2 songs of spells and curses. First one, we're going to start with Blackbird, go into break and come back with another one, and then we'll have Arnold talk